Good morning. Broadcasting to you live from the Orion spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, somewhere in between two formerly tariffed nations. My name is Brian Engelman. Today is Wednesday, April 30th, and this is the TNAM AM Show here on the New American Media. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to talk about how President Trump has been bombarded with just atrocious media coverage. If it's not 100% negative coverage, it's pretty close to it. So how is that impacting how you feel about this administration, about President Trump's second term, about his selections for the cabinet positions, about what they've been able to accomplish in the last 100 days? We'll unpack that and more on today's show. Please hit like, hit subscribe, however you're watching. If you're on Facebook, hit the thumbs up. And I got to share this. That's a good reminder there. I'm going to share this to my other groups. TNAM Fake News, Debunking Conspiracy Theories and Propaganda. TNAM's The Agree to Disagree Show. And TNAM Preparedness. If you're not following these groups, you should. Also, follow us on Rumble at the New American Media. YouTube just put another copyright strike on a video. It's an interview with our Health and Human Services Director, Bobby Kennedy Jr. And in this clip, he's talking to Joe Rogan about the chemicals in our water supply. And for some reason, they didn't like the little piano music in the background of this video. So now its reach, the distribution of this video has been limited in many countries. I am once again calling on the powers that be at the Recording Industry Association of America, ASCAP, BMI, whichever governing body could actually get this done. You don't need to slap copyright claims and limit the distribution of your content. Under the circumstances, like if I go live and I'm broadcasting a pay-per-view, I understand that you can't rebroadcast somebody's live event. You can't do WrestleMania. You can't do a baseball game. We're not doing that. We're listening to a 40-second conversation between Joe Rogan, the biggest interviewer in the world, and Bobby Kennedy, the foremost authority at Health and Human Services about air, water, food, poison, health and nutrition. But maybe they didn't want us to hear that video, so they slapped a copyright thing on it. I had to submit a dispute again. It's getting really old. So please follow the New American Media in all of the places. Let me put that up at the bottom of the screen. Instagram, Facebook, Truth Social, Rumble, Odyssey, Twitch, Kick, DLive, and YouTube. Search the New American Media. We're on Telegram and Signal at TNAM and TNAM Chat. On X at American_Media_. And subscribe to our podcast, The Agree to Disagree Show. That covers, like an umbrella, the TNAM AM Show. All those are uploaded on Spotify and Apple under the Agree to Disagree Show. So follow us in those places. Thanks for joining us today. And if you wanted to toss a tip into our tip jar, we appreciate that. We're on Patreon at the New American Media. Yes, that is on my list of things to do today. I have to make my monthly post at the end of the month. Make sure that's all good to go. Also, Venmo at Brian Engelman, Cash App, $ Brian Engelman, and PayPal at Fuzz Installment. So thanks for joining us today. Let's get into the stories and talk about it. Leave your comments. Once you get that going, we will bring that up. Put your comments on the side, and we will carry that conversation together. All right, Breitbart reporting here. Hold on, let me check the screen. Let me just flip that. Maybe. There we go. Yeah, that's okay. We'll do it like this. All right. Shock. California Democrats in the state assembly are once again blocking a bill that would make the sex trafficking of minors a felony, this time for victims aged 16 and 17, preferring instead to give prosecutors discretion to not protect the kids. Notably, some of those prosecutors would be George Soros-backed prosecutors who have avoided enforcing the law in the name of criminal justice reform. Why do they say that when all it's doing is saying, no, we want to make it easier for dirtbags to do dirtbag shit? That's the way you could describe it. No. No, criminal justice reform. We need comprehensive immigration reform. Do we? Or do we just need a president to enforce the border? We have a clip coming up of Tom Homan talking about President Biden being the only president. He's served under many presidents and worked in this industry, in that capacity for a long time. And he's never seen a president come in and intentionally open the border wide open. Bust it wide open. And that's what we're dealing with. Oh, where's the due process for those people that snuck into America? You got to protect them. We need some border reform. Do we now? I mean, what due process does someone need when you're... And I say this all the time. I used to work in I worked in a nightclub. I worked at a lot of nightclubs. I was a promoter. I was a bartender. All the things. And it was pretty basic. You would go to the front door, pay your cover charge, show your ID, prove you're over 21, pay your cover charge, walk in. So go in line to the front door, show an ID, prove your age. We're doing a background check. We're making sure you are who you say you are, that you're allowed to be where you're coming into. Pay the cover charge and walk in, then get a wristband. So on multiple occasions, we found people without wristbands. Side doors were opened, back doors were open, bands were loading gear in, loading gear out. And boyfriends and girlfriends would just kind of sneak in. They're like, I don't want to pay a cover charge. It's my boyfriend's band. And it's like, I get it. But also bands, you have to understand, as a promoter, you have to generate enough revenue to pay the door person, to pay the security guy, to pay the sound guy. Then once you're in, you got to spend money at the bar, of course. So it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. So when there were people inside without wristbands, you went everybody out, come back in. And then you go to the front door, and the people that don't have wristbands had to show their ID, pay their cover charge, and get the wristband. So you're seeing in real time an attempt to overthrow the United States. You're watching it in real time. You cannot just allow anybody to walk in at your company building. You got key cards, you got passes, you have codes. The building does not have access to random people. The access is provided to the people who are allowed to be there. And who's allowed to be there in America at the nightclub? Citizens. People who have gone the right way and got their wristband. That's who. So these Soros-backed DAs, it's just, it couldn't seem as if, hold on, let me phrase this properly. I couldn't imagine a scenario where it would look more obvious that they're intentionally trying to destroy the United States. And California Democrats here, citing criminal justice reform. You know what justice is? Protecting the kids. You know what justice is? Protecting the border. That's justice. But the George Soros-backed prosecutors who have avoided enforcing the law in the name of criminal justice reform are the same types of people who voters have been beginning to oust across the state. The blocking effort to make sex trafficking of minors a felony again is the latest chapter in a saga that began in 23. As Breitbart News reported at the time, Republican State Senator Shannon Grove of Bakersfield introduced a bill to make sex trafficking of minors a serious felony. It passed unanimously in the state Senate, but Democrats on the state assembly's Public Safety Committee blocked the bill since they did not want to increase criminal penalties generally. Explain to me why the Democrats bend over backwards for bad guys and they ignore victims. They ignore the good people of your cities and states. Well, and state in California's case. Why in the world would you prioritize the bad people over the good people? The non-taxpayer over the taxpayer? In what universe are Democrats representing you? They're not. I don't understand. And I've covered this for 15 years. I mean, much longer than 15 years, but with the New American Media, 15 years. For the life of me, I don't understand what they're doing. And I don't understand how anybody could vote for them. I get that you might get up in arms over abortion. I get it. I understand it. But that doesn't mean you support the party that gets almost every issue wrong. And I get that you might not like President Trump. I get that he gives you several reasons to dislike him. If you're going to willingly ignore the good things that are happening, I just don't value your opinion all that much. I couldn't possibly begin to care if you're going to always ignore the good things happening and only and consistently point out the bad. You got to give a little bit of balance here. Anyway, faced with public embarrassment, Democrats struck a deal in 24 under Grove, under which the bill would advance, but only if it was limited to victims under the age of 16. Now a Democrat State Assembly member, Maggie Krell of Sacramento, Democrat, is trying to make trafficking minors age 16 and 17 a felony too. And fellow Democrats are refusing to allow the bill to advance. And I'm just asking, why do Democrats hate America and Americans? Why are they always... Why do they seem to always support the bad people? I really don't get it. I don't understand their affinity for the bad people. I would love to know how you pronounce this guy's name. Meugniot. I'm going to ask Grok. Meugniot. How does... What's the dude's name here? Joey Mugniot. I'm going to see if... Pronounce his name. Because I see his stuff and I share his stuff. And let's see if Grok can give me an answer. Because I don't know how to pronounce the name. Mugniot. It's pronounced Niot. Or, yeah, Niot. Mug rhymes with few or mew. Muniot. Muniot. The G is silent, I think, is what they're going for. All right, Joey Muniot. Real Joey M.U.S. According to Tom Homan, Biden released almost 5,000 illegals into our country in one day. Trump has only released 9 since January 20. 4 were cartel trial witnesses. 4 were extreme medical distress. 1 was humanitarian. Trump did in 7 weeks what Biden pretended he couldn't do for 4 years. Of course, this tends to happen when you go from having a totally senile president to a sane, healthy one. Can we collectively agree to never vote a Democrat into office ever again. That's not an endorsement of the Republican Party. It's just the Democrats have proven to be enemies of the nation. Not me specifically, not you specifically, but if they're going to bend over backwards to help the bad guys, we have to call it out for what it is. 5,000 illegal aliens released into America in one day. President Trump says the Democratic Party today is not defined by its principles. It's defined by one thing. It's hatred of President Trump, even when he's right. And that is Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana. And it really is sad, and it's weird. You remember when they tried to say J.D. Vance is just weird? Oh, is he now? Is he? I just, you know, I didn't strongly dislike Biden and Obama because it was their actions. It wasn't like a severe loathing of who these people are. It was a loathing of the actions that they consistently provided. Renegotiating trade deals so America's in a better position. Oh, that's so bad. Putting a doorman at the front door to your nightclub so you don't lose your liquor license. Oh my gosh, that's so bad. I can't believe you're checking IDs. Robble. Well, how can you kick people out? They're in the nightclub already. They're already here. And they're a criminal liability. Out, back of the line, come back in. David Bann coming back in. Welcome, David. As I said earlier about the tip jar, and I put that up on the page if anybody wanted to make a donation to the New American Media, because we are 100% fully crowd-funded. I like using the analogy, having been a bartender for a while, that I'm here behind the bar. We're unpacking the news of the day together. We can all talk about it. Leave your comments on the side. And David is one of our regulars. So thank you, David, for joining us today. Good afternoon to you, sir. David resides up there in Canada. Mark Carney. I don't understand how Pierre Poilievre went from being 95% likely to just steamroll. And then now he didn't just lose the presidency or the prime minister position. He's out of government altogether. Am I understanding that story right? I really can't fathom what's going on in Canada, but prayers to our brothers up north, brothers and sisters. Anyway, here's Ben Ferguson obliterating the media for failure to cover Biden's decline.
Number one, he goes, we got it wrong. No, you didn't. You deliberately covered it up. You got it right to serve your own interests.
Yes. Any media member saying, oh, we got it wrong. They had their press correspondence dinner, backslapping fiesta over the weekend. And you got Jake Tapper out there trying to sell a book. Oh, my gosh. They didn't get it wrong about Biden's cognitive failure. Biden was a shell of himself in 2020. Biden in 2024, they knew exactly. They knew exactly what they were getting from Biden. And now they're lying to you again, proving to you again why you don't trust the lying legacy media. ABC, CBS, NBC, MSNBC, CNN, hell, Fox half the time. David saying, yes, that's correct. He's probably out of government. I don't understand it. The clips I've seen and what I saw, he was the exact counter. Well, I mean, maybe not exact, but he seemed to be the anti-Justin Trudeau. And having gone through your COVID craziness and all the totalitarian measures that were taken against your people, and the fact that your country is being overrun, it's being infiltrated, it's being overthrown with unchecked immigration. Like you are diluting what it means to be Canadian every single day. That's the part that some Americans haven't ever taken the time to consider. If you have an influx of people rapidly, maybe forming enclaves where it's like little Dearborn, Michigan, or this or that, or Springfield, Ohio, and it's 30,000 Haitians and the 100,000 Somalis and 100,000 Venezuelans, or what. It doesn't matter what part of the globe you're coming from. Any part of the globe is equally a bad idea. If you're not learning the language, how can you drive on the roads? You can't read the road signs. How are you going to communicate and work? How are you going to communicate and live? If you don't understand what it means to be American with our Bill of Rights, our civil liberties, our civics test, then you're not going to be acting as an American. You're not going to be an American. And we want Americans in America. And so the process of bringing people into your country needs to be a smart process where you want the best and brightest. You don't want a single violent person with a criminal background of abusing the people that person used to live around. You don't want that person dragging your country into the gutter. You need to keep that person out of the gutter, or you need to keep that person out of the country, or else your country turns into a gutter. I just don't get why the Biden administration and the Democrat Party haven't been sued into oblivion for opening the borders and letting people with violent criminal histories in to continue being violent criminals. The families who've lost loved ones due to the recklessness and the treasonous acts of Biden and the Democrat Party, that party should be sued into bankruptcy. David saying Alberta is ready to leave and become part of the United States. Yeah, I'm open to having an ongoing conversation to figure out, like, why did Trump go so hard at calling Canada our 51st state? Why was he so adamant about pushing this with Trudeau? I mean, in one way, he pushed Trudeau out, but in another, did he galvanize anti-Trump sentiment to make sure Pierre Poilievre couldn't take over? Wouldn't Pierre Poilievre have been a better option for Canada? I know it's Canada. I like calling it Canada. I think so. I'm pretty sure it would have been better. So I am open. David, I am open to understanding what happened down there, or I'm sorry, up there. Saying basically the city of Toronto and some other ridings in Ontario won the election. Toronto? Huh. Yeah, I think I shared a clip recently where I think it was Elon talking to Joe Rogan, and they were saying how there are no red state. Okay, let me hit reset. I believe it was Elon talking with Rogan saying there are no blue states. There's blue cities. There are no blue states. You look across the map, it is red, 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 red. Red rum. Red rum. Red rum. And so the big cities can deliver big ballots, and there's a big potential for big fraud. Do we know? I don't know. But I can't even imagine how Canada put another globalist loser in charge again. I don't get it. You've lost your right to defend yourselves with firearms. Get that back, Canada. Come on. You're our neighbors. We need you to be strong. Your border protects us. But if you're castrated, your hands are tied behind your back. If you're letting your cities get overrun with unchecked immigration, you're not helping us, and we'd like you to help us. So, yeah, I mean, the blue cities, like you said, David, they basically control the country, like Toronto, Ontario, a couple big cities. And that's what it is. There's like 20 or 30 big blue cities that sometimes have enough votes to carry the entire state and overrule the entire intentions of the rest of the entire state, just because one little area of city in a very big state happens to be bonkers, or they've become masters at delivering ballots that get counted. Let's say that. Now, are these actual ballots? I don't know. Anyway, back to Joe Biden, who left our border open.
You said at all costs, we are going to save Joe Biden because he's the candidate. And the media saw him up and close every single day when he was out there. Everyone was talking about the decline. They deliberately were a part of the cover-up. And they're like, well, we've lost trust. Trust? Are you kidding me? You guys were basically state-sponsored media. You went to the White House and you said, what do you need us to do for you today? What do you need us to cover up? How can we protect you? How do we not ask questions that are tough of this president? They never pushed this president. They coddled him, they protected him, and now they want to, hey, we did okay on this story, but we maybe could have done better. I'm sorry. The American people witnessed what you did. No one trusts you. Yeah,
no one trusts you. That's what I'm going to put. No one trusts you button. Yeah, all right. White House. Is this the official account? I mean, 8.5 million followers. Looks pseudo-official. I think it is. The media finally covers the rapist and killer aliens Biden let in. Hey, check this out. Fox News. White House displays lawn signs highlighting illegal immigrant crime. CBS News. White House puts up posters of arrested migrants. Trump says he runs the country and the world. MSNBC. White House places about 100 migrants' mugshots on its lawn. New York Post. White House lawn lined with illegal immigrants' mugshots and heinous crimes they've committed. Thank you, New York Post. That's the best headline yet. Axios. Scoop. Trump staff puts immigrants' mugshots on White House lawn. They're leaving out that they're illegal. Spectrum News. White House lawn displays mugshots of undocumented immigrants accused of crimes. Daily Mail. White House lawn covered with over 100 illegal migrants' mugshots as Team Trump rips into vicious gangsters. Okay. Washington Examiner. White House displays illegal immigrant mugshots online. Anyway, I could go through all these, but you kind of get the point. It's about damned time we address all of the people. Just how about time we address this? We'll leave it at that. So that worked. That was a good strategy to get the word out. Well done, Team Trump. And I will say, people that don't have a prior criminal record, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to like future crime? That was from Minority Report. Pre-crime. I understand that it's next to impossible to try to figure out and guess who might be committing crimes in your country. But I will say this. Anybody with a prior known criminal history that should be filtered out, it's like a water filter. Any known pathogen, any known toxin needs to be filtered out before you take a drink of that water. You grab a glass of that water. And so those are the ones that definitely are unforgivable in my mind. Unforgivable. If you knew about someone that was a danger and you let them in anyway. And remember, this is not just in a vacuum, okay? This is not just this is in the context of a global pandemic where we're being told we can't work in the military, we can't board an airplane, we can't go shop for groceries, We can't be out at a beach or a public park without wearing a face diaper. The dumbest era of our time. And a lot of places couldn't even call it a lab release, a Chinese lab release of the virus. Oh, no, it's a wet market. Yeah, sure. Oh, no, it's a lab leak. Leak feels accidental. This felt potentially intentional. I call it a lab release. You're telling me you're going to force nose swab people to test for things that they're asymptomatic of, but you're going to let millions of people just sneak in without any tests? Piss off, deep state. Piss off. Dead giveaway. That's a dead giveaway. They didn't care about the country. They cared about flooding the country. And it's obvious. Here's Gavin Newsom. Fake news hurts. Put this out, and this is a video here. It says no person has done greater damage to a state than Gavin Newsom. And here's Gavin Newsom choking like a dog and ignoring the question after being asked about the cost of illegal immigration in sanctuary cities to California. By the way, is there anything more frustrating than trying to listen to Gavin Newsom avoid a question with his circular talk? I've seen this over and over. I haven't even seen this clip yet. He's going to do, my prediction, he's going to do a Kamala Harris-esque word salad blah fest. That's my guess. A Kamala Harris-esque word salad gobbledygook answer that doesn't answer the question.
California's sanctuary status is legal. Period. Full stop.
I'm sorry. California ignoring the laws of America is legal. Full stop. Period. No, it's not.
We apply rigor to.
Okay. All right.
Aligning ourselves with federal law, and
federal law does not say illegal aliens can hang out in your place. No, that's not what it says.
And again, that was stress tested independently by the federal courts, and they upheld our point of view and our sanctuary status. So I think we are in good sound footing. That's.
I don't know about that. I don't agree with that. How could your movie theater be okay with people going to see movies that haven't purchased a ticket? That's not good standing. That's not. I don't know if you technically got away with it. It doesn't make sense. It's not good for California.
Said it's a very hyper political environment, and he's trying to score political points. But our job is to remind communities of their rights, to remind our diverse communities that we have their back. And I'm here to remind you that the reason I called for the special session in the state legislature was to do just that. And we appropriated resources. That's why we've been able to file 16 lawsuits without supplementals to the.
All right. I gave it a second chance to listen. It was hard to pick up on the question there. Yeah, I don't know. Is Gavin going to be the Democrat nominee for that party? Maybe. Good luck. Yeah, Gavin is a real piece of work, isn't he? Pete Hegseth puts this out and says, in case you wonder what we and President Trump are up against. Well, isn't that what we means? Or we means the military and President Trump. Anyway, they're up against 100% negative coverage from so-called mainstream press. No, they're lying legacy media in the first 100 days. Perfect score. Come on, Robert Kennedy Jr. and Elon Musk. You guys can do better. See, Bobby Kennedy only had an 89% negative coverage rate, according to the Media Research Center, as reported by Fox News. about the negative coverage on Trump's cabinet and allies. Elon Musk going in to run an audit and clean up the Social Security rolls and identify unnecessary spending at a time when we're trying to deal with $36 trillion on a credit card and get our financial house in order. Oh, yeah, Elon's such a bad guy. He said, from my heart to you. Yeah. Look, he's literally a bad guy. He's literally building gas chambers or something. I hate Elon now. They hated Elon before he joined Doge. They hated him on inauguration week when I was in D.C. Someone had lock up Elon or something, held a sign, and he jumped into shot. I'm like, all right, well, why do you hate Elon? He's like, come on, he's Elon. I go, the hell does that mean? That's not an argument. What do you not like about it? Just, I didn't understand what, it's just, if he's Team Trump, now you're an enemy. Okay. I'd rather have a super smart dude working to improve systems in this country. Antiquated stuff, redundant stuff, backward stuff, incorrect stuff. David saying, so why are we even waiting for arrests with people like Gavin walking around? Hey, I fled California under Gavin's what word am I? Regime, his despotism, his tyrannical rule. I don't know. I wonder who the next governor is going to be in California. Anyway, this is what people are up against. This is what the Trump administration is facing. And as nice as it is to know that public trust in legacy media, lying legacy media, has never been lower, there are still some people that are still kind of buying into this. You hear enough negativity enough of the time, it starts to seep in. It starts to give pause. It puts a little bit of a wedge in between. And that's what they were trying to do. They were trying to put a wedge in between Elon and President Trump, a wedge in between RFK and President Trump, a wedge between Pete Hegseth and President Trump, to divide and conquer. So don't fall for it. But this is what is happening, according to the Media Research Center. I mean, I have not seen very much positive coverage outside of Fox, and of course all the alternative media that is now the mainstream media. All right, so here's President Trump talking about Joe Biden and the situation that he inherited when he took over.
I think the reputation of the United States has gone down under your presidency. No, I think it's gone way up, and I think we're a respected country again. We were laughed at all over the world. We had a president that couldn't walk up a flight of stairs, couldn't walk down a flight of stairs, couldn't walk across a stage without falling. We had a president that was grossly incompetent. You knew it, I knew it, and everybody knew it, but you guys didn't want to write it because you're fake news. All right. Thank you. And by the way, ABC is one of the worst. I have to be honest with you. Thank you. Do you think...
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, ABC News is one of the worst. I think this might be John Kennedy saying the clip that I read earlier. I'm not entirely certain. Let's check.
The only thing the Democrats contribute to the discussion is just a bunch of rabid barking. Many Democrats still drink their caramel frappuccinos and they carry their NPR tote bags, but their ideas are either non-existent or they're shallow, and their passions are immature. I would rather watch reruns of The View for the rest of eternity than to listen to some of my Democratic colleagues, and I think I'm pretty tolerant. The only thing the Democrats contribute to the discussion is just a bunch of rabid barking.
He's Many great.
Democrats still drink their caramel frapp.
Great for sound bites. The dude's funny. Atlas Society here. Let me put this on the screen for countervailing views. Yeah. On health and elections, go to cdc.gov, who.int, and cisa.gov/rumor control. CNN, when an experimental drug is released, hey, take it without question. Yeah. This is the Atlas Society putting this meme out. Hey, here's CNN when mugshots of illegal migrants with a criminal record are released. We need to make sure this is true. We need to make sure this is true. But hey, during COVID, do as we say. Don't question anything. No, we're going to question everything always and try to find the most reasonable answer. Thank you very much. Oh, no. When mugshots of illegal migrants with a criminal record are released, we need to make sure this is true. However, yeah, it was a wet market. Yeah. China. You can't call it China virus. That's racist. And it didn't happen. Oh, hey, if you take this thing, you can't spread it. You can't spread it? That aged poorly. So many topics deserve to have a robust conversation. An accurate portrayal and measurement criteria added to the story, not just blindfolded faith in propaganda peddling. So yeah, they'll bend over backwards to blur out the mugshots of criminal illegal aliens. Okay. So maybe turn CNN off. All right, this post, I'll dedicate this post to David. No, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to call out David. David's just sitting at the bar. I'm talking with him. It's just that David and I have regular conversations here, amongst many others. By the way, however you're watching, hit like, hit subscribe, drop your name or your initials and where you're watching from in the comments. I'd love to know where people are at. David's up in Ontario, and I'd love to know who else is watching and listening and where you're at. Makes the show more fun. But okay, I won't dedicate this to David. It's just for the people who are a little bit more black-pilled. Black-pilled is like, nothing's going to fix anything. Everything's a mess. It's never going to be better. Why should I even care? I mean, I get it. And I've had phases where I go through that myself. This is shared from the I'm Not Having Fun Anymore 5.0 account. I would say this account is, well, number one, I don't know who runs it. And number two, I just think that they, here, let me switch, get the comments going. What's up, Kenneth? Good morning. This I'm Not Having Fun Anymore 5.0 account is probably a little bit more black-pilled, a little more cynical. And I try to be more positive. I don't know if I am positive. I think I try to be. I don't know if I am, but I think I try to be. Anyway, this post from Heather Z's Old Lady. I'm not saying politics aren't important, but I'm really leaning into the fact that God just knows. I'm moving on for the most part. That's someone opting out of the system for the most part. And I get it. But come on, listen. Some of us don't want to do all the heavy lifting all the time. I've gone through phases where I have and phases where I don't. And I might enter another phase where I don't. But it should be a bit of a revolving door. It should be a bit of a group effort. Hey, if we all line up in this line and have a bunch of different buckets, we could scoop the water, pass it to the next person, and we could take all this water all the way down there pretty quick if we all work together. But if you're just kind of relying on a couple of people to do all the lifting, well, anyway, they're moving on for the most part. I haven't checked the other ones, but let's see. Don Fuego, the entire concept of government is rooted in fraud. An individual cannot delegate powers to a group that he himself does not possess. If people knew that the state was just another criminal organization like the mafia, the world would be a better place. Yet here we are. Mr. Sausage. The governments of the world need to be thrown out on their psychopathic asses by the people of each nation. Someone needs to say it. F these people. Dr. Jane Ruby, reality check. Hold on one sec. Why is it not doing that? So, nope, still not working. Try it this way. Come on, technology, work for me. Dr. Jane Ruby says, reality check. The two-party system is a myth, and it's always been a myth. They are on the same team. They all are on the same team. They are all oozing with the pus of corruption. Seeking justice from politicians is like asking your mass murderer to be nice. Once you stop clutching your pearls at the disappointment in your politicians, you can start looking for the real solutions. P.S. Military members, wake the F up. We're hearing lots of rumbles. Lots of rumblings. And I've heard this for many years, so I don't put much credence into this. But with the judges blocking the administration the way that they have been at unprecedented levels, with the general state of affairs and the criminality that's run rampant and run our nation into the ground, there's a thought out there. I'm just putting my ear to the train tracks. It sure sounds like something may be incoming with military. And it might be needed to get rid of the corruption from the judges and the politicians that currently, temporarily, are maintaining their power and control. So keep your eyes peeled on that. I just kind of keep hearing some. So yeah, military members, wake up. Yeah, this is for David. Yeah, this is good. Legal man says, does anyone really believe they're going to arrest people like Hillary or Barack or Fauci or Biden? Are there actually people that brainwashed into the fantasy of my Constitution, that lost in the flood of propaganda? Can a human being even function and survive when consuming that much copium? Or is it just something people kind of say online or to their friends because it makes them feel good? And then they don't have to face the reality that they're stuck in. Because there's literally not one shred of evidence to support believing such an insane fantasy in the entire history of this country. If you think there is, I'd love to hear an example that actually supports this arrest fantasy. Hey, I got one. They arrested President Trump. They used lawfare to go after their political enemy and opened a can of worms. Opened Pandora's box. They might have set the precedent needed to do this to them. And without the precedent, maybe in the history of the country, we haven't seen something like this, but you've seen countries defend themselves from coups before. This is a coup. This is a coup. This is, yeah, I mean, it's mafia style tactics. So to the black pill people out there that say they've never done anything, well, maybe you've never seen the deep state get so reckless and desperate. They might have signed their own papers allowing this. So we shall see. I don't know what that means. The problem isn't just high taxes, but rather that most of your taxes do not actually fund government services. Your taxes to NGOs and special interests, while money is created to replace what they steal. Oh. Okay. Okay. I don't know. Civil disobedience becomes a sacred duty when the state becomes lawless or corrupt. Alexander Berkman. Well, that's an anarchy flag. So anyway, there's a scattershot. I didn't have much interest in discussing the gay or Jew angles shared in that post. Feel free to. It's on our, what is this? Our Instagram feed. David saying, I think military is the only way, unfortunately. I mean, or fortunately. Maybe that's why they're going after Pete Hegseth so much, because they know, oh my God, they might do it. Oh my God, they put Cash and Tulsi. But here we are, we're waiting. We're just like, hey, Pam Bondi, what are you doing? What is taking so long? Why are you're not doing anything? Okay. So you're going to try to run the clock out too? You're going to, oh, we released the Epstein files. No, you didn't. Where's the videos? No, you didn't. So yeah, military the only way? I don't know. We're going to find out. Kenneth. All right, Kenneth. Kenneth, keep hearing about a 10 days of darkness thing. Hey, look. Did you see the power go out across Europe? What was it? Western Europe a couple days ago? I hope everyone has a plan if that happens here. Do you have a way to just kind of keep your core components running? Can you have enough electricity to just kind of get by? Do you have some sort of power generation ability? Do you have a way to filter water? I mean, like these topics, I don't want to say consumed me, but I've realized for a long time just how important it is. That we think about, what if there are 10 days of darkness? And then it's like kablamo. You wake up from 10 days and you go, hold on. That was a sweep and they arrested who? Hold on, everyone? So, I don't know. Yeah, the 10 days of darkness. I've heard about that. David is on board. Well, let's have these 10 days of darkness and get it over with. David pointing out again the executive order on December 20th, 2017. It needs to start. What is the name of that executive order that you reference? Is there a name for it? And what is the TLDR version of it? Too long, didn't read. What is the one sentence explanation of why it's so? What is that called? And what's the one sentence explanation of it? David says, I only say unfortunately about the military because it's sad that everything's gotten so corrupted. Maybe it's always been this corrupted, or it just incrementally keeps getting, 5% worse every year. And by the time you look back after 47 terms, you're like, it's so bad. I don't even recognize it anymore. I pity the fool. Oh, you mean a different Mr. T? They said, sir, it's not Mr. T. It's Mr. Trump. A different Mr. T. Although I do like the gold chains. Quite a fashion sense. Mr. T. I pity the fool who won't support Trump. I pity the fool who doesn't want 10 days of darkness. Look at these chains. They're gold chains. I pity the fool. Mr. T's still around, isn't he? I'm going to ask Grok, what is Mr. T up to? I do not recall hearing anything that he's left us. Lawrence Turiod. Relatively low profile. He was prepping for a massive atmospheric river storm in Southern California in February 24, helping himself and neighbors with sandbags at Sherman Oaks Fire Station. He jokingly referenced his catchphrase saying, always be prepared, fool. Always be prepared, fool. I pity the fool who doesn't stay prepared. Kenneth talking about the power situation. My inflate-a-date will power down. Wah, wah. No, David, I did glance through it the other day. I typed it in and I was kind of reading through it. And I'm trying to find the most succinct way to talk about that 2017 executive order. Human rights abuses. Yeah, that covers a lot. Bella's Chance. What's up, Bella's Chance over near the Cape, right? Is it Boston you're at? Cape. Is that Cape Cod? That is Massachusetts. That's where you're at, Bella's Chance, I believe. Bella. What could the military actually do? Oh. You know what I could play you? If I view my channel, there's a guy. Actually, where is the video? Oh, there it is. I think I said, wait. Where is the video? Well, anyway, I interviewed a guy on January 6th, and he's talking about the Insurrection Act. Insurrection Act, Insurrection Act, Insurrection. Now I really want to find you this video. What does home look like? No, it's not show. Darn, I really want to share this guy's. Anyway, let's keep it moving. And ask yourself, what can be a human rights abuse? Like, lots of stuff could be human rights abuses. Agreed. I can throw in a can of whoop gas. All right. President Trump here says, the case we have against 60 Minutes, CBS, and Paramount is a true winner. They cheated and defrauded the American people at levels never seen before in the political arena. Kamala Harris, during early voting and immediately before Election Day, was asked a question and gave an answer that was so bad and incompetent that it would have cost her many of the votes that she ended up getting. It was a disastrous answer. 60 Minutes and its corporate parents, in order that this not have a negative impact on her, removed it and deleted Kamala's entire answer, every word of it, and replaced it with a different response that she gave later on to an entirely different question. The new answer was not good, but it didn't show gross incompetence like the one that was removed by 60 Minutes. In other words, 60 Minutes perpetrated a giant fraud against the American people, the Federal Elections Commission, and the Federal Communications System. Despite all of the above and Paramount, CBS, 60 Minutes admittance to this crime, and with other similar corrupt removals of answers to questions, the failing New York Times, which is fake news both in writing and polling, claims that people said that the case is baseless. They don't mean that. They just have a non-curable case of Trump derangement syndrome, possibly to the point where the Times interjection makes them liable for tortious interference, including in elections, which we are currently intently studying. The bottom line is what 60 Minutes and its corporate owners. You jumping up, Nimbus? There's Nimbus. All right. Easy, Tiger. My cat has joined the party. Here, bud. Come on, over here. Don't step on the computer. I can only scoot this so far. I need to reconfigure this desk so Nimbus can jump up and do his thing. He's rubbing on the computer. Do you guys see Nimbus? He's off the screen. He's rubbing on the computer. Hi, buddy. There he is. You can see him. Oh, midday. He likes snuggling. He's like, hey, breakfast was good. Had a good nap. I want to go see Dad. Thank you. He's been in there talking for a while. Let's go see if he wants to hang out. He really is a sweet guy. Pain in the butt sometimes, but aren't we all? TDS on CBS. There you go. I like that one. That guy. Bella's chance. Yes, in Cape Cod. It is tough being a red hat in a deeply blue state. Oh, hey. Man, I remember interviewing Anomaly. And I said something about being behind enemy lines. Him being in California. Like, because he and I were in California. We both went to events at the... Oh, no, don't step on the computer. That's what I was trying to avoid. We went to the Conscious Life Expo. We went to Politicon. We went to the NAM convention, the music convention in Anaheim. And I remember at one of those, I said something about being behind enemy lines. And he's like, well, I don't see it like enemies. I'm like, I mean, I know, but just being a normal person and in a far left lunatic state. It's weird. And AJ's a little bit more, I don't know. I don't want to speak for him, but he's a little bit more black-pilled, a little bit more pessimistic, or I don't know. I see a lot of good stuff that President Trump's doing, and some people are very into spending all their time finding fault, and I get it. There's value in all of it. But I think the net positive of having Trump, at least to just block the Democrat agenda, nobody else was going to win that election. I mean, it took the perfect case. President Trump had to run the perfect political campaign to pull this one off. I don't know that anybody else could have done it, even though they were trying to, they being the establishment, were really trying to get Ron DeSantis in as the candidate. None of that worked. Anyway, I digress. Just, yeah, it is hard being a red hat. Yeah, we talk about white hats. Those are the good guys, right? It's hard being a red hat in a blue state, for sure. Nimbus has just melted onto my lap. Hi, buddy. All right. Well, anyway, you see him there. Let's carry on here. That was a fun segue. Yeah. Bella's chance. Bella's a rescue.
Here's Nimbus. He was a rescue, too.
This has turned into the cat hour. Nimbus, you're a superstar, buddy. He's like, oh, I want scritches. Right there at the ear. He's like, oh, I'll take that. Cats and keyboards don't mix. Correct. What is this? Claims the Trump derangement syndrome, possibly to the point where the Times interjection makes him liable for tortious interference. Okay. The bottom line is that what 60 Minutes and its corporate owners have committed is one of the most egregious illegalities in broadcast history. Nothing like this, the illegal creation of an answer for a presidential candidate, has ever been done before. Well, that we know of. They have to pay a price for it, and the Times should also be on the hook for their likely unlawful behavior. It is vital to hold these liars and fraudsters accountable. I'm going to type that if my cat will let me. That's a big if. I don't. Oh, he's grooming my hand. Okay. I'm trying to type. Hold these liars and fraudsters accountable button. I like dropping breadcrumbs on Instagram so people can like it and engage with the New American Media account. Anyway, keep your eyes peeled on this CBS 60 Minutes Paramount story. Here's Meg Ann from Freedom Chronicles. Whoa, buddy. Okay, he's jumping. There he goes. Love you, bud. The left says Trump is illegally deporting illegals. Everyone else, you broke in. You skipped the process. Now you're mad the exit isn't comfy? Expedited removal is the law. Trump's just using it the way it was written. You entered illegally. You get removed legally. That's how it works. That's a good question for everyone in the comments here. On that particular point that they're making, let me ask you, do you agree or disagree? You entered illegally, you get removed legally. That's how it works. Expedited removal is the law. Trump's just using it the way it was written. Do you agree or disagree? All right, this is new news here. Now, remember when the Bundy Ranch was a big story? If you recall, I don't know how long. Actually, that's a good question I'd like to ask the group. Because you guys are regulars. You know, you're here at the bar. I opened up the bar at noon. You guys are my regulars eating lunch. I'm talking to you while you have some food, and we're chopping it up, looking at what's on the TV screens and talking about the news. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've bartended and had done this. Like, this feels so comfortable to me. I would love to unpack the stories of the day every day. But my question to you is, how long have you been following the Agree to Disagree show, the TNAM AM show, the New American Media, Brian Engelman. How long have you been a regular? Because I know recently the three of you, Kenneth, Bella, David, you've been regulars for a while. And I that's what I always did as a bartender, was to try to kind of find out like something about the people. That's why I ask where you're from. It's like my brain's like, oh, David, that's the Ontario guy. Oh, Bella's chance. Yeah, they adopted a cat or something, and they're over in Cape Cod. Kenneth is Florida man. But yeah, how long have you been following us? I'm just curious. But what I was bringing that up for was to say, if you're not aware, I did travel to the Bundy Ranch when that whole BLM standoff was happening. And that was Bureau of Land Management, not the other BLM. Not the group founded by a Marxist. And we went out there and interviewed a lot of people, some of the Bundy family, and Pete Santilli, and that guy from InfoWars was there. What's that guy with the beard? He's got the really big beard. I'm not like a super viewer of InfoWars. David something. What's that guy's name with the big beard on InfoWars? David something? David Wolf? David, is it David? I don't know. But he was out there. And Bundy Ranch was a massive... I remember when it was happening, and they had their standoff. They had their armed standoff. And there were people like there's like one chilling picture. I remember we used it as our the image for the Agree to Disagree show, like the thumbnail image, and it was a man who was laying in the prone position on his belly. He was at a bridge overpass of sorts, and he had his rifle kind of in between two of the concrete barricades in between. He had taken cover, and that incident was ready to pop off, and it was one of the most jarring places I've ever been. The stories that they told about helicopters flying over top and shooting cattle, releasing like German shepherds on pregnant women. David Beardley. It's so stupid. I'm going to type it in. InfoWars reporter with the big beard. Well, there's two of them. There's Owen, but not Owen. I'm thinking about the other guy. I forget his name. Grok is searching. No, not Jamie White. Not Owen Schroyer. A comment about his ugly Abe Lincoln beard. No. David something? I like using Grok. It's not perfect, but it... David Knight! Former InfoWars host and reporter. He was fired in 2020. There we go. David Knight Show. He's been doing Real News with David Knight in 2017. Okay, David Knight. That's the guy's name. Cool. David Beardley. David Minoxidil. Yes, thank you, David Band, David Knight. All right. You think I was even more shadow banned in the past? For what reason do you say that, David? Beautiful day in Florida, by the way. Yeah. I mean, I think we're in the 80s now. Things are happening. All right, let's continue. The reason I'm telling you all that, like if you go back, you can find a lot of coverage. Someone I've done a lot of shows with, Blake Wally. That's one of the many places we have traveled to get interviews and create content. So yeah, if you scrolled back a few years, you'll find that on the New American Media. Okay, but this story here is about the Trump administration dropping Biden-era charges against South Dakota ranchers in a land dispute. Remember, Bundy Ranch was outside of Las Vegas with Harry Reid and all sorts of speculation that it was for some sort of mineral rights deal, and they were trying to run the ranchers off to do something. And it was just the family had been grazing on this land, this BLM shared property, for a long time. It was never a problem until suddenly it was. And it got really testy, to the point where some even said the beginning of the Second American Revolution almost just started. So anyway, this is the South Dakota ranchers in a land dispute. Trump administration has dropped the Biden era charges. Let's listen.
Targets were an innocent and unimpeachable American farm and ranch family, the Mods of South Dakota, who join us here today. This family, targeted solely over what should have been a minor civil dispute over grazing rights on 25 acres of public land, was prosecuted, credibly threatened with jail sentences so extreme that they were told to find alternatives to raise their young children. Charles and Heather Maud live on a fifth-generation family farm in Pennington County, South Dakota, close to Mount Rushmore. There, they farm 400 acres. They raise about 250 head of cattle and about 40 sows. 25 acres of their property touched upon the Buffalo Gap National Grasslands, which is administered by the U.S. Forest Service. Their targets were an innocent and unimpeachable.
On the economy tariffs and inflation, he's well underwater. You've still got some work to do on that front. A lot of people think that he's spending too much time on tariffs and not enough time on the economy and lowering prices. What do you say?
Well, I don't want to make things awkward for you, John, but it is our opinion that Fox News needs to fire its pollster. And I won't surprise you with that. I don't think you're surprised that I'm saying that. But the Fox News pollster has always been wrong about President Trump. They were the ones that said all summer long that Kamala Harris was going to be the 47th president of the United States. So we don't acknowledge any of that polling.
On the economy, tariffs, and inflation, he's well under.
So they don't acknowledge that polling. Thank you. Yeah, the mute button was muted from the last one. I had something to say. I was setting up this clip asking if Miller just told Fox to F off. Yeah, Stephen Miller is a great addition to this team. Trish Regan. Looking like a wrestler in that shiny gold shirt or something. All right, here's a Toria Brooke story dump. I'll do this from Miss Muckraker. I'll do this with Toria Brooke. I'll do this with several sites. Let's kind of dig through some of these. In case you missed it, HHS Secretary Robert Kennedy addressing the issue of chemtrails. Thank you.
My name is Emily, and my biggest concern is the stratospheric aerosol injections that are continuously peppered on us every day. Bromium, aluminum, strontium, it's sprayed in our skies all day long. And I know you've talked to Dane Wigington about this. He seems to be one of the experts in the field.
Is there a question?
Yes. How do we stop it?
That is not happening in my agency. You know, we don't do that. It's done, we think, by DARPA, and a lot of it now is coming out of the jet fuel.
Yes,
so,
sir.
you know, those materials are put in jet fuel. I'm going to do everything in my power to stop it. We're bringing on somebody who's going to think only about that, find out who's doing it, and holding them accountable.
Yes, sir.
My name is Emily.
Good. In case you missed it, let me go side by side. Yes, I am back. Sorry. I love Nimbus, but I'm actually allergic to cats. That's a fun fact. I was muting because I sneezed. I love my cats, but man. Whew. In case you missed it, PepsiCo is to remove artificial ingredients from popular food items by end of 2025. Now, Now, I saw this posted, something like this. This is not what it's saying. PepsiCo, if they removed artificial ingredients, they wouldn't exist. I think what they're aiming for is just to focus on removing the petroleum-based food dyes. Does that really mean that they're going to get rid of soybean oil? Maybe, maybe not. Seed oil, maybe, maybe not. Is that an artificial ingredient? I mean, canola oil, aspartame, sugar, high fructose corn syrup. Like, what exactly are they going to be removing? Yeah, it'd be great if their potato chips weren't fried in seed oil. It'd be great if you could have a refreshing beverage that wasn't so bad for you. Could jets be run on hydrogen? I don't know. I like the Edward Leeds Scullin thing. That's down in Florida. That was on an Ancient Aliens episode. I believe he claimed to be able to levitate stone with, like, was it sound waves? If so, the exhaust would only be water. Yeah, it's so weird. Carbon dioxide is a poison. It's like carbon dioxide is what we breathe. If you're going to repeat that carbon dioxide is a poison, you are one step away from going Hitlerian and trying to destroy, like the Georgia Guidestones. We need to wipe humanity out to a couple 100,000 people to save humanity from humanity. Because every time we breathe out, us useless breathers. Anyway. Couple random thoughts. Gotta mute this. Why am I watching this, Toria Brooke? What does breakfast have to do with I think I'm missing it. I don't know where we're at. I'm gonna move along. Update. Iran and the United States will hold a fourth round of talks on the Islamic Republic's nuclear program in Rome on Saturday. That's from AFP. Is that American Foreign Press? AFP. Okay, trying to cut a deal with Iran. Why is there a dog post? This is not news. I mean, there's something very calming about watching a dog run along the beach. What's the dog gonna do? Gonna go out in the water? Why am I watching a dog? I don't know. All right. Yes. President Trump said the case we have against 60 Minutes, CBS, and Paramount is a true winner. They cheated and defrauded the American people at levels never seen before in the political arena. Going after the lying legacy media, it's about time. Okay, I did read you this already. Hold the liars and fraudsters accountable. Ugh. What is this? 63 teams, 11 planes are fighting fires outside Jerusalem. More than 10,000 Dunhams torched. Israel seeks help from Greece, Croatia, Italy, Bulgaria, and Cyprus. Roads closed, trains canceled, and other places evacuated. I don't know how to pronounce any of that. I covered this story at length yesterday. I don't want to get into this again, but it bothers me. Yeah, Mexican Coke is a real thing, David. I think they just use real sugar. It's a big difference. It's sugarier, sweeter. Yeah. David, you call it pop too? Because in the Midwest, we call it pop. We don't call it soda. Then I moved to Los Angeles and they call it soda, which was kind of weird. You think they sell Mexican Coke at the Home Depots? Maybe out a shopping cart or something. Yeah, the Georgia Guidestones were blown up. Yeah. Did you catch that story? That was wild. Anyway, just giving you an update on this. The UK prosecutors decided not to file charges against Matt Petgrave, in the death of Adam Johnson, ruling the fatal on-ice incident a tragic accident. This was not an accident. There's the video. This guy is known for being one of the dirtiest players, as evidenced. But I mean, that is a blade that he raises his leg all the way up to the throat level to karate kick this guy. That's not a hockey move. Charge the hockey player. That was not a hockey move. Anyway, you're watching the video. That's what's going on. Ultrasound imaging revealed that cell phone exposure caused a healthy woman's blood cells to abnormally clump up, even when the cell phone was an inch away from her skin, according to a new peer-reviewed study published in Environment, Science, and Policy for Sustainable Development, according to Vigilant Fox. Oh, that's super. FBI Director Kash Patel shares this, shared from Real America's Voice. Swatting is not a prank. It's a crime that puts lives at risk. My team and I are already taking action to hold perpetrators accountable. This has nothing to do with politics and everything to do with public safety. We won't tolerate the weaponization of law enforcement. Thank you, Kash. Thank you, President Trump. I hate these swatting calls. They're all attempted murders. You're hoping that something goes sideways. When they were having that standoff at the Bundy Ranch, all it took was somebody sneeze, somebody drops something that's really loud, and someone slams a car door. It could have been any number of things. A rock could have fallen. They were drawn on each other. This was a standoff that would have spread. I am so glad that situation. Who was the guy that rode? I think he was on a horse, or maybe he walked in between to try to calm things down. He's got 3 names. I forget the guy's name. But yeah, that Bundy Ranch was I was out there to cover that, and then I went to a wedding. And I just remember how that impacted me. I was rattled. You know, yeah, they got snipers up there at that ridge. They had snipers right there, snipers here. This is where the helicopters are flying, and you're just like, dude, this is going down. This is really not good. Hey, Kenneth, I don't mean to harsh your vibe, dude. But look, if you were playing hockey and somebody did that to you, I would defend. I would go after the person that did that to you. That's all I'm doing here. Don't mean to harsh your vibe. All right, let's continue. Covering the news can be a vibe harsher. I don't know. Whatever. I'm not sure if this is an actual quote, but how do you feel about the quote anyway? We must reject the idea that every time a law is broken, society is guilty, rather than the lawbreaker. It's time to restore the American precept that each individual is accountable for his actions. Lee Zeldin putting this out. He's the EPA director? According to this post from Global Wellness Forum about Lee Zeldin. Yeah, EPA Lee Zeldin. Make Sunsets is a startup that is geoengineering by... Oh, here you go. I guess I could have done this earlier. Oh, no, I still have the countervailing views run at the bottom of the screen. They really don't like talking about the geoengineering. Go get your countervailing views. Get your views out. Get your countervailing views out. Make Sunsets is a startup that is geoengineering by injecting sulfur dioxide into the sky and then selling cooling credits. This company is polluting the air that we breathe. I've instructed my team that we need to quickly get to the bottom of this and take immediate action. Wow. There you have it. Make our air breathable again. New Jersey Board of Public Utilities last week said it will require New Jersey's 4 electric utility companies to come up with plans to defer massive rate spikes. This move is literally a smokescreen to delay voter anger away from the Democrats until after the November election. Oh, is it now? All right, we keep hearing about this with tariffs. What's the point? Well, maybe we're getting rid of income tax.
Tariffs. The president said over the weekend that we are hoping that maybe tariff revenues could replace income tax. But we also keep hearing about the deals that the administration is pursuing. So my question is, what is the White House's ultimate objective here? Do you want to have long-term tariff revenue or deals that might reduce those tariffs?
I think it's a combination of both. So we're going to take.
And that is the question. What are we aiming at? What is the end game? Oh, by the way, I think they put generic music in the back. So do I have to speak the words instead of not playing the video?
Again, long-term tariff revenue. We put a process in.
Put a process in place. We have 18 important trading relationships. We will be speaking to all of those partners, or at least 17 of them, over the next few weeks. Many of them have already come to Washington. What President Trump is referring to is the ability for a tariff revenue to give income tax relief. And I think there's a very good chance that we will see this in the upcoming tax bill. The president campaigned on no tax on tips, the no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime, and the restoring interest deduction for autos, something in America maybe. So the tariff income could be used for tax relief on all of those immediately. So you think that there's a role for significant tariff revenue in U.S. fiscal policy? I think that it is something that got put away a long time ago, and I think that tariffs will bring back American manufacturing and generate substantial revenues. Yeah, I had to read that because of the music in the background. It's so stupid. This is how content is shared, and just for whatever reason, music is played on the side. Man, they gotta get used to just letting you have that, especially when you're doing a news story, especially when your account has 1,900 videos, and you know what's going on, and you know that it keeps getting flagged, and you go, they're just covering the news. It can't just all be automatically triggered by an algorithm. There needs to be some sort of sanity in the social media marketplace. Or not. I mean, or not. Doesn't have to be. But I'm saying that it should be. All right, let's switch over here to X. By the way, if there's any story that you want me to cover that I have not covered yet, type it in the comments section. Everyone out there, however you're watching, hit like, hit subscribe. If you're on Facebook, hit the thumbs up button and the hearts button. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Try to share our content with your friends, please. We do enjoy getting new viewers, new regulars. It's the only way our bar is going to succeed is if people keep showing up. So invite your smart friends, please. All right. RFK Jr., according to the Vigilant Fox, just named the government agency behind America's geoengineering nightmare. For years, they told us chemtrails were just a conspiracy theory. Now, RFK Jr. isn't just confirming that crimes are happening. He's exposing who's behind them. What's the thread? Bookmark the post. All right, there's a lot to unpack here. I'm not going to be able to just go read this whole thread. It's on X. Check out our censored show that went on YouTube because we played Bobby Kennedy talking about atrazine in the water supply, turning animals gay, changing the hormonal components. Is that a story that's banned, or is it actually that there was music in the background? I don't know. But check out yesterday's show on the New American Media, because Reddit bots were being used to change people's opinions. And how often is this happening? How often is our bots interacting with us on Facebook, on X, on YouTube? Yeah, Reddit just ran a weird experiment. So check out yesterday's show if you missed it. Right. So check this out from John Bolton, people.
Do you believe Hexas should still be on the job?
No, I'm going to reverse it. Turn it up one more time. There we go.
Do you believe Hexas should still be on the job?
No, I think he should resign for his own safety's sake, if nothing else. This is.
Did you catch that? That sounds suspiciously like Chuck Schumer saying the deep state has 6 ways from Sunday of coming at you. This sounds like John Bolton is threatening Pete Hegseth or warning him that he's about to get taken out.
Do you believe Hexas should still be on the job?
And that leads me to believe maybe there are military tribunals coming. When you have an actual military leader that's looking at the overthrow attempt of our nation, your number one job in the military is to defend our nation. And if that's against Democrats and rhinos, the deep state, yeah. Enemies foreign and domestic. That's who you take an oath to defend, to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States against all threats, both foreign and domestic. But here's John Bolton on terrible CNN.
No, I think he should resign for his own safety's sake, if nothing else. This is a critical time for the American military. We understand the Trump administration will rightly propose enormous budget increases for defense. We need it. We need a secretary who can get the job done, not somebody who spends his time on Signal chat groups.
And just as someone who is a national security expert, the fact that it was happening on his personal cell phone, how much does that concern you, knowing that foreign adversaries often target top-level national security officials to get into their phones and put in spyware?
Yeah, I almost never use my personal phone when I.
By the way, CNN, were you also covering Hillary's servers? Did you cover that story from Secretary of State, the stuff that was allegedly getting hacked by China? Did you ever cover that story?
I was a national security advisor. I mean, the breaches of security at risk in this conduct are enormous. And I think that's one.
And my understanding is that these phones are preloaded with Telegram and Signal, aren't they? So
reason why he shouldn't be in the job.
Do you believe?
Yeah, in the Atlantic, one of the most anti-Trump publications out there, they published a piece saying that I think that was President Trump saying that I think Hegseth will get it together. And that's not a glowing endorsement. That is almost like an admission that, it's almost an admission that he hasn't been able to get it together so far. I don't know. This John Bolton, though, I just want to hear him at the very beginning one more time.
Do you believe Hexas should still be on the job?
No, I think he should resign for his own safety's sake, if nothing else. This is a critical time for the American military. We understand the Trump administration will rightly propose enormous budget increases for defense. We need it.
Anyway, for his own safety, that's a weird thought. Newmanian says, well, let's see. 2 days ago, the governor of Illinois, the feckless Pritzker, stated that Democrats need to commit themselves to violence. Did you catch that one? Next, the fairly connected John Bolton warns Hegseth to quit or else. Oh, really now? The deep state is not going down without a fight. All right. Switching gears. There we go. Look at this image. What's a killer idea, David? Did I say something or did someone else say something? John Bolton is a warmonger. I love this mustache that spells out war. Yeah, he's known for his comical mustache. Tucker Carlson provides evidence that the permanent administrative state killed JFK, railroaded Nixon, installed their sycophant Gerald Ford, and took out Michael Flynn to prevent exposure of their corruption. That's how far they'll go. Anyway, there's a 6-minute piece. I'm not going to. But many people helped Biden destroy this nation, says Tucker. Dennis Peterson adds the warmongers killed an American president to start the Vietnam War. So, yeah, watch that clip. Okay, in sports news, did you see what happened during the draft? Interesting scenario. And I guess this kind of happened quite a bit. It's been happening for a while. People are getting pranked during the draft. And they're getting phone calls from pranksters. So Adam Schefter reports that the NFL has fined the Falcons $250,000 and defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich $100,000 for failing to prevent the disclosure of confidential information distributed to the club in advance of the NFL draft. This happened to Shedeur Sanders, but it's been happening to a lot of people. The obsession over Shedeur Sanders is weird. All right, speaking of weird, what is going on with this Trump story? This is a minute. Hang on. All right, the Blaze. Let's watch this interview with President Trump in ABC. People are talking about it today. Let's get the clip.
Murderers, criminals in this country. We have to get them out, and we're doing it. And you'll pick out one man, but even the man that you picked out, he said he wasn't a member of a gang. And then they looked, and on his knuckles, he had MS-13.
There's a dispute.
Well, wait a minute. He had MS-13 on his knuckles tattooed.
Oh, he had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
Wait a minute. Hey, Terry.
He did not have the letter MS-13.
It says MS-13.
That was Photoshopped. So let me
That was Photoshopped. Terry, you can't do that. Hey, they're giving you the big break of a lifetime. You know, you're doing the interview. I picked you because, frankly, I never heard of you, but that's okay. But I picked you, Terry. Hey, but you're not being very nice. He had MS-13 tattooed.
We'll agree to disagree. I want to move on to something else.
Terry.
Hey, they're agreeing to disagree. That's the name of our show. I know it says the TNAM AM Show, but I really do think maybe I should reserve agree to disagree for when I have guests on the show. Just kind of thinking about it. Maybe I should just do the TNAM Daily Show. I guess the word daily show is taken by Comedy Central. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out. Because for the better part of 14 years, every show I did was just called the Agree to Disagree Show. And Adam Schiff is announcing he's introducing an assault weapons ban of 2025. That's treason. Question mark. So we're going to finish this interview, but then we'll look at the pictures of the knuckles of the most talked about man, Maryland man.
Do you want me to show you the picture?
I saw the picture.
And you think it was Photoshop? Well,
here we go.
Don't Photoshop it. Go look at his hand. He had MS-13.
He did have tattoos that can be interpreted that way. I'm not an expert on them. I want to turn to Ukraine, sir. I want to get to Ukraine.
No. He had MS, as clear as you can be, not interpreted. This is why people no longer believe.
Well,
and so President Trump is citing something that is inaccurate. He's directionally right about the tattoos. His wife covered up that part of his hand on his knuckles so nobody could see it on their posts. She put social media posts out and put hearts over that. There's a reason. Or there's not. This Abrego Garcia is just absolutely. Oh, okay. David saying that John's idea of resignation is a killer idea. Oh, and wondering, is that the same John Bolton? He looks different to you. All right. Fair question. I don't know. I love the stories where it's like, is that even the right guy? All right. How'd I get here? Where am I now? Where's my story? What is happening? What did I click on? Okay. Okay. I don't know where I'm at. Let me just start from scratch and scroll back down to the. There we go. That's what we were at. Okay. We were about halfway through.
I'm not an expert on them. I want to turn to Ukraine,
No,
sir.
Jerry,
I want to get to
Jerry,
Ukraine.
No. He had MS as clear as you can be, not interpreted. This is why people no longer believe the news, because
when
it's
he was
fake
photographed
news.
in El Salvador, they aren't there. But let's just go on. They aren't there when he's in El Salvador.
They weren't
Take a look
there,
at the
but they're
photograph.
there now, right?
No,
but they're
they're in
now.
your picture.
Terry,
Ukraine, sir.
he's got MS-13 on his knuckles.
All right.
Okay?
We'll take a look.
You do such a disservice.
We'll take a look at that,
Why don't you
sir.
just say, yes, he does, and, go on to something else?
So I think we need to take a look at the picture because President Trump is technically wrong here. Let's close this up. Okay. This is an evidence photo. The MS-13 are illustrations that have been added intentionally of what the gang signs accurately spell, because 95% of everyone does not read gang signs. M, marijuana, smiley face, S. The cross is 1. 3, I guess, is the eye hole and the nose hole. I don't know. That's a 3. That's at least the implication. That's the let me make this larger. There we go. So I think President Trump is talking about this image that says MS-13, but these are just superimposed. These 4 tattoos on the fingers are real. I mean, you got the X'd out eyes, weed, a skull, and a cross. I mean, it's very. If it doesn't mean MS-13, what does it mean? And what evidence do you have that it is MS-13? But I saw what appeared to be several posts from the girlfriend where she put hearts right over top of it so that you could not see that. It's almost like the cover-up gets you every time. When he was photographed in El Salvador, they aren't there, but they are in your picture. So there's the picture. See, those are the 4 tattoos on the 4 fingers of his left hand. Now, it doesn't have an M and an S and a 1 and a 3, but those tattoos are there. So, they're Maryland man. So this is going around. This is a big deal. President Trump on another talking point. Here we go. Same interview.
Do you think the reputation of the United States has gone down under your presidency?
No, I think it's gone way up, and I think we're a respected country again. We were left.
I'm trying to remember if I played this in show prep or if I already played this for you on Instagram. I apologize if this is doubling up, but I'm going to play it. It's only 20 more seconds.
That all over the world. We had a president that couldn't walk up a flight of stairs, couldn't walk down a flight of stairs, couldn't walk across a stage without falling. We had a president that was grossly incompetent. You knew it, I knew it, and everybody knew it, but you guys didn't want to write it because you're fake news.
All right. Thank you.
And by the way, ABC is one of the worst. I have to be honest with you.
Thank you. Do you think that...
Thank you. Anyway, Brianna Morello, who I met in Milwaukee, independent journalist, quit Fox over the COVID mandate. Is she independent? I thought she was working with I thought she was working with Louder with Crowder. Maybe, maybe not. What is this one about Texas? Texas House passed HB 23, a dangerous bill stripping your city and county of the power to say no to radical developments. Any foreign-funded Islamic developers can now fast-track land projects across Texas by hiring their own private engineers. What? I'm going to share that because I don't know what's going on. Now, what is this? This is a new one. A Massachusetts judge facing a public hearing for allegedly helping a twice-deported illegal alien run from ICE by letting him out the back door in 2018. Judge Shelley Joseph, initially charged with obstruction by a Trump-appointed U.S. attorney, but the charges were dropped, and her case was moved to the Commission on Judicial Conduct. And that hearing is scheduled for June. Oh. U.S. District Judge Jennifer Thurston ordered that Border Patrol cannot arrest suspected illegal aliens without a warrant. According to her ruling, Border Patrol must have a reasonable suspicion to detain individuals and cannot pressure them into voluntary departure without informing them of their rights and obtaining their consent to leave. Well, we are having, let me change the aspect ratio so you can see the story. My size 13. My son's 13. We're trying to figure out the way to undo the damage done by the Biden administration pushing the Obama doctrine of colonization. They broke this. President Trump is trying to fix this. I don't want innocent people. I don't want people wrongly wrapped up in this effort to be removed or infringed upon. But we have to hit reset. We have to empty the club, everyone out that's not here legally, come back in the right way. You know, the CBP One app to self-deport. You know, I've seen some videos where people are getting taken by ICE or custody by. I've seen several videos, and I might be lacking the context. But if someone's getting arrested and you can't show them papers and you can't show them a badge or identification and you can't let them know what's going on and what department you're with and where you're going, and you're just getting handcuffed and thrown into a car, you know, that's not a good look. That's not endearing the public trust. It's not. So whatever the policies are, let's iron out the best ways to do it and figure it out. Yeah, I mean, the judge is like, yeah, if you're going to arrest someone, you need to have a reasonable suspicion for detaining them. That's what American citizens are afforded as rights. Does an illegal alien have the same rights? I mean, that's what the conversation is about right now. So we'll keep our eyes peeled as this develops. Here's Tom Homan talking about working in Border Patrol since 1984. I referenced this earlier, and he's never seen anything like what Biden did.
Look, I started in Border Patrol in 1984. I've been at this for over 40 years. I worked for 6 presidents, starting with Ronald Reagan. Every president ever worked for took border security seriously, because you can't have national security if you don't have strong border security. We got to know who's coming in, what's coming in, where's coming in, why it's coming in, right?
Facts.
Even President Obama and President Clinton took some steps to secure the border because they understood national security was important. Joe Biden was the first president in the history of this nation who came in office and unsecured a border on purpose. That's just a fact. We handed the Biden administration, after President Trump's first administration, we handed the Biden administration the most secure border in my lifetime, and he unsecured it on purpose.
Yep.
Now, President Trump and this administration here, the success is unprecedented. We beat Trump's first administration on border success. Border numbers are historic low. Today, as I'm standing here, we are the most secure border in the history of this nation. And the numbers prove it.
I am very happy Tom Homan is working for this administration. Well, let's hear Fox News explain this judge. A California federal judge banning Border Patrol agents from arresting illegal immigrants unless they have a warrant or reason to believe the person might flee before a warrant can be obtained. Well, okay, that kind of covers everything, right? Anybody would flee rather than getting kidnapped or, arrested, right? Most people would. If they snuck into the country, they'd try to sneak away from accountability, right?
All right, another judicial pushback against President Trump's immigration crackdown. This comes after dozens were arrested in January during Border Patrol's Operation Return to Sender, where agents rounded up people determined to have entered the who were determined to have entered the country illegally.
Okay, baby, slow down. Man, she stumbled over. And look, I'm the king of stumbling over words. The more words you say, the more likely it is you're going to stutter and stammer and stumble over those words. But that was a nice 5-second run.
People determined to have entered the who were determined to have entered the country illegally. Yesterday, California District Judge Jennifer Thurston demanded CBP agents cannot arrest suspected illegal migrants without a warrant or reason to believe the person is a flight risk before they can get one. All right, another judicial pushback against President.
So there you go. I think this is the same video a couple times. We'll scroll. Roger Stone puts this out. Wow. Oof. Okay. Let me see if I can find an image. This person reminds me of somebody. I wonder if we can do a side-by-side. I could probably switch the screens, right? Hoping that Grok can make this image for me fast. It's slowly doing it. Here's Letitia James. Doing whatever she's doing. And then kind of reminds me of Grimace, right? Does anyone else see that? Grimace? Is it just the purple color or the shape or what are we? I mean, you guys see this, right? Kenneth, ABC, I told you. See? Anyway, Roger Stone says Attorney General Tish James of New York allowed Harvey Weinstein to file bankruptcy so that his victims of assaults and rape received nothing. Yeah, Roger Stone is going hard in the paint after Letitia James, and Letitia James deserves it. Rothmus says, what's wrong? Nothing. The pilot in the D.C. helicopter crash in January reportedly ignored several warnings made by her male co-pilot to turn before the collision. So was she ignoring him? Did she know better? Is this fair reporting? Is this false reporting? I've watched this going around. And I'm trying to figure it out. But that's what the signs are pointing to, is that she was told to, I believe, turn left. And she did not. So if that's the case, why didn't she? Was it intentional? Or is she just terrible? I don't know. Stephen Crowder here making a point about importing millions of people from cultures that despise you. Is this a good idea or bad idea? Take a listen.
Both the Indians and Pakistanis who are transplants in the UK, they seem to agree on one thing. They hate the UK and its culture, as evidenced by this Good Morning Britain clip right here.
And actually, I do worry for the foreign nation.
In no sense is that a symbol of
you know what that is?
nationalism or racism.
That's just kind of ignorant to me, because you're
Having a flag is ignorant?
Waving it around, and I feel it's
Don't start me.
to people.
Listen, look, I'm proud to be English. I've come in here to say that, yeah. There's a million things. Like, I don't think that just because of a few wrong-uns that are far right...
It's not a few wrong-uns, it's a lot.
The British flag is offensive.
The majority of people, yeah, should be able to be proud of where they come from. Like,
They should.
We ain't letting them take
I don't
away
think you
from
should
us.
encourage nationalism.
we are.
You should
We are
encourage.
proud.
As a woman of colour,
Shouldn't
you
encourage
don't feel
nationalism?
that this flag represents
It looks like the
you
flag's
or
on the
that there
screen
is-
Not
behind them
inclusive.
also.
We are not
Yes.
intolerant. The far right, and not even the far right.
Yeah, the far right. Don't engage with people that use terms like far right. It's just a slur for people on the regular right. This is from April 23, though.
People are so much against asylum seekers, refugees. They're taking this, they're taking that. It's
Yeah, they are.
outdated.
We could be proud of the things which we achieved
Do we need
together.
a new flag? Let's
What's outdated? The nation is outdated, so we should just turn it over to anyone that storms in? Huh?
Let's get a new flag, because that one is outdated
taking the fucking
and it
piss?
represents far too much negativity in this country. I think we need a new day.
Do you celebrate the
A new flag? What?
coronation?
Actually, no, because I think the monarchy.
behind that.
No, I'm sorry. I think the monarchy represents.
gone as well?
Represents colonization. They need to give back all their stolen jewels.
Lorena, what?
They need a new flag in England, she says. So actually, they did decide to, in the age of multiculturalism, add a little bit of an Indian flair to it. And that's better. Home, sweet home.
Home is where the poop is.
Home is where the poop is. And by the way, that is everywhere.
You can make home right where you are.
You'll say this is offensive. It's reality. If you think this is offensive, then you're not paying attention. By the way, that's from 2023, St. George Day. It's kind of like their national day. You know, they didn't have a war to fight off a superpower. We have that. It's not clear to us, but that's from 2023, St. George Day. I want to be really clear because this dialogue is going to move to H-1Bs, and this war could also be used, if it takes place, as another Trojan horse to bring more people into this country. And those in positions of power are very interested in cheap labor from a country like India that does not share your values, that does not appreciate this culture, and has no interest in assimilating.
And assimilating is the key word. This was connected to this Adam Brooks. It was about we have India versus Pakistan tensions spilling onto the streets of London. Why is this on the streets of London? Why is this happening in London? Why has London been flooded with Pakistanis and Indians? It's not about any particular group. It's about large numbers of people who are not assimilating being dumped into your nation and every nation globally. That's either okay or that's a bad idea. It's one or the other. It feels like a really bad idea. And it's what's been happening for a really long time. Very intentionally, not a crisis. It's a plan. Anyway, this person says, Adam Brooks says, we have India versus Pakistan tension. London. It is my guess, and it is only a guess, but many of the people in this video are here illegally and cannot speak English. What is happening to the UK? An American. So, all right, good stuff, huh? You know, if you come into the country and you learn English and you assimilate, that's one thing. Come on up, Nimbus. Hi, buddy. Guess who's back? Back again. Nimbus back. Tell your friends. Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Nah, nah, nah. David saying it's the same groups of people in Canada also. Why are you allowing your nation to be overthrown by other nations? Okay. Immigration is cool if you decide to go there and get on the system, or get on the list. You walk through the front door, do it the right way, show your papers, run your background check. You're going to assimilate. You're going to be in that country, not stealing from them, taking their resources for many, many years and staying out of criminal. Hey, don't bite me, buddy. A small number of migration, a small amount of migration with assimilation is something that can keep a nation prosperous. But the way that it's been happening is really bad. It's bad for everyone in the long run. It really is. Anyway, continuing on. Oh, here's Theo debuting his first original composition for his grandpa last night at the White House. I'll play you this because why not? It's a nice little human interest story. Will I get a copyright strike for Theo's? What is this? Theo Trump, Ivanka's kid, I guess. Do we get a reaction at the end? Anyway, that was just a fun little story. Here, remember this? Somebody at school just attacking a group of people here because they weren't wearing a mask. Is that a girl? Is that a guy? Never forget what they did to the unmasked and the unvaxxed. What a weird time to be alive watching this. I don't like the optics of this at all.
Tase somebody over a mask. Tasing this lady over not wearing a damn mask.
Never forget what they did to us for those years. Never. Yes, Nimbus. Lunch is coming, bud. Just a couple more stories. Anarchy Lucas was born into a global satanic cult and was ritually abused throughout childhood. He met Jeffrey Epstein multiple times. He describes child cage matches he was forced to take part in, where children would fight to the death for a paying audience of wealthy elite celebrities, politicians, and whoever else was invited. Here's a 5-minute interview with this guy shared from Illuminati Bot if you want to watch this story. I won't harsh your vibe by playing it, but you get it. Mark Slapinski here. This is for David. He's received pictures of Elections Canada workers leaving the voting station with ballot boxes. This comes from an anonymous source. I don't know if that's what's depicted here, but that's what Mark Slapinski is saying. Here's 1 minute with Catherine Austin Fitz talking with Tucker Carlson, another former Bush administration official, exposing the elite's fear of the upcoming geophysical event on Tucker Carlson's show. So what if they know that something's coming and they are running up trillions on a credit card because they have to get prepared and they can't tell us the truth without risking a panic? Is that what's happening? Here's Catherine Austin Fitz.
Answer to this is I think there is real concern about geophysical risks. Yeah. And one way to deal with that is to make sure we don't bet the ranch on one planet. So I think the first is a solar minimum, where you get big drops in the economy and the agriculture and you can't feed the population.
Right.
So
because there are changes in climate because of the distance of the Earth from the sun.
Right.
And that changes.
Right. So we know throughout history, we go through periods of solar minimum.
So they are worried about climate change, but they don't think it's coming from your suburban.
Right. It's not coming from human behavior. Now, there are environmental problems coming from human behavior.
For sure.
That's
for sure.
Right.
For the record, I have one friend who's very well informed who has convinced me that is real.
The other thing is it appears to me, if you go back through history, every 10,000, 12,000 years, we have, some kind of huge disaster.
An extinction event.
A near extinction event. I think that whether it's a pole shift, a magnetic pole shift is one of the theories of what causes these events. But there is a history of near extinction events. The answer to this is I think there is real concern about geophysical risks.
Yeah.
And one way to deal with that is to make sure we don't bet the ranch on one planet. So
anyway, something to be aware of. Democrat Representative Shiri Thanedar, when a constituent blasts him for voting against Shri? What name is Shri? I don't know what Shri. That's a guy's name, Shri Thanedar. A constituent says, hey, why did you vote against the Lake and Riley Act? Oh, this is that Muppet that's trying to impeach Trump. Okay. I didn't know the guy's name. Here we go.
You were one of 67 congressmen to not vote for the Lake and Riley Act and one of 10 senators. So 77 out of over 600. There must have been something in there that made you not want to vote for that because you were such an outlier there. Can you please tell us why you didn't vote for the Lake and Riley Act?
We thought that the Trump administration would misuse that to harass people. We'll get you more information on that.
He wasn't president then. This was over a year ago. He voted against the Lake and Riley Act.
Not a good idea.
Good point. 30 seconds.
No, what was your answer?
You didn't answer. I appreciate guys for cussing.
You were.
All right. Well, try to defend voting against the Lake and Riley Act, please. Rainbow Push Coalition. Wow, look at that. Jerry Nadler. Democrats are trying to impeach Trump over policy differences, which is shameful. But here's Democratic Representative Gerald Nadler once saying that impeachment rips away votes.
He knew quite properly that an impeachment of a president is an undoing of a national election. And one of the reasons we all feel so angry about what they are doing is that they are ripping from us, they are ripping asunder our votes. They are telling us that our votes don't count and that the election must be set aside.
Yep, that is what they're trying to do to President Trump right now. This is a video, Citizen Journalism Foundation. This is GSA awarding contracts to companies to transport unaccompanied minor children getting trafficked every day. They don't take their biological info. Where are these kids going? The number one goal of FEMA is to install equity, not save lives. Still people missing. You got undercover journalists, brave citizen journalists exposing human trafficking.
About us, they're talking about shipping migrants. It's all on audio. We got everything.
Every single agent knows deep in his heart what's going on is wrong.
Fire me. Maybe after this they will.
You're hungry, you're tired, add in cartel, add in kids being trafficked.
The cars are creeping on us. There's a third car over there now.
We've been recording for 16 hours. We got it.
Expose all of it, please. This is that same
yes.
Bobby Kennedy
I'm gonna do everything.
video that we watched earlier. Getting asked about spraying in the skies. The operation may be linked to DARPA, the U.S. military's Advanced Projects Research Agency. Our team will appoint someone to investigate, find who's responsible, and ensure accountability with the Trump administration. Wall Street Apes is reporting blue rain. Question mark. CREDD 34 posting this. All of the rain that's come down, they're showing in these containers, it's blue. I live here in the Central Valley, and it was raining a couple minutes ago. Can anyone explain the blue water? California has 3 major cloud seeding programs in the Central Valley area. Turlock Irrigation District, TID, Sacramento Municipal Utility District, SMUD, and Upper San Joaquin River Watershed Program. Cloud seeding, cloud seeding, aerial seeding, silver iodide. All right, so let's get to the bottom of it. Now, I don't know if this is true or not. David, have you heard this? Canada's new prime minister has a child that they're calling transgender, and that this guy formerly ran the Bank of England, and before that, the Bank of Canada. And he's right here with Ghislaine Maxwell. Mark Carney, second from the left. What if Carney gets exposed when Epstein is finally exposed? And so you allow Carney in for just a hot minute so that you can take him out politically and then put Pierre in. I don't know. I'm trying to follow the story. Blue water in a blue state. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Good call, Kenneth. What else? Let me go back. There we go. Yeah, Luke Radowski is saying we need to invade Canada to liberate them. David, would you welcome a U.S. military invasion of Canada to liberate you from your globalist rule? Do you think your neighbors would appreciate that? Do you think your family would appreciate that? Do you feel as if your country's been stolen from you? Do you feel as though you need liberating? I don't know. I think it's going to be a very busy year. It's been a very busy 100 days, that's for sure. Olia Scootercaster. I know Scooter. I've hung out with her in many cities. Out there filming this stuff. It's what she do. It's what she does. A.L. Jacoby saying terror supporters are trying to break through police lines to reach a Jewish neighborhood in Brooklyn. Can you imagine the outrage if white people were marching toward a black community calling for violence? Why is this being tolerated? Your BLM, your Antifa, you know, your Summer of Love, and whatever you have going on now, these organized street protests. It's a whole cottage industry, people. Nancy Mace put this out. Goodness, did you see this? Nancy Mace says a child predator was caught. Well, I don't even want to say how bad it was, what they were doing. Well, as young as 3 years old. Doggone it. Child videos as young as 3 being abused by animals. Predator caught with this is facing 60 years. Alan Watson dropped nearly every charge and he only served 1 day. Why does Alan Watson let these abusers walk free? I'm not familiar with this case. I think I need to learn about it, unfortunately. All right, well, just sharing it with you. Ugh, I really don't want to go down the rabbit hole with that one. All right, here's this Muppet. Laura Loomer saying, Indian scammer Democrat congressman who filed articles of impeachment against President Trump gets confronted.
Impeachment articles against President Trump to get out of your nearly $800,000 of campaign debt. You have a history of scamming people. Are you scamming the American people? Would you like to answer, Congressman?
Oh, he has done unconstitutional activities that need to be called for.
What about your history of scamming people and your campaign debt? If you hate President Trump so much, why don't you just go back to India?
Democrat, Michigan Congressman Sri Thanadar. Should we have Indian-born people serving in the United States Congress? If the president has to be American born, why is that any different for Congress? I don't understand that. Don't you want the people representing your country to be a resident and someone born in your country? Otherwise, you have mixed allegiances. This guy isn't, he's not born in this country. And now he's trying to overthrow the duly elected president. I got a problem with that. Yeah, Carney does have connections with Maxwell, allegedly. Alan wants sin. Yeah, apparently. We did cover this in the beginning. Riley Gaines saying, for clarity, this means owning a child sex slave is legal in California. How can any reasonable, just person identify themselves as a Democrat? I don't know. Dr. Simon Goddick is pointing to this report from Javier Blas, saying that it's now official. The massive blackout in Spain, Portugal, and France was caused by green energy. Spain's grid operator admitted renewables triggered the collapse. The Green New Deal is Europe's economic death sentence. Thank you. Vote again. Thank you. Vote again. An event akin to a loss of generation in the country southwest. Very likely it was solar. So yeah, these green energy things can't be relied upon. And wokeness says, say his name, Graham Hoffman, Kansas City paramedic, killed in the ambulance by Shanita Bassel while attempting to help her. She literally bit a cop last week, but was released anyway. Okay, I'm going to copy this and try to get some more information on this story. I'm not familiar with it. Let's do a search. Where's the hang on. Do the search of the name. Try to find out if this is a legit story. Paul says Spula, 29-year-old Kansas City firefighter paramedic, had his life taken by a female thug during a medical transport. What? The victim, Graham Hoffman, was pierced through the heart by a knife used by Shanita Bassel. She had recently tried to use a knife on a cop. Oh, man. That is awful. 3 felony charges for the murder, $1 million bond. Your patient is going to stab you in the heart now? What is with being stabbed in the heart? That happened in that track case, that Carmelo killer. I feel like I've gone most of my life not having many stabbed in the heart stories. Now I got 2 in the past month. Both black on white. Coincidentally. This Miss NFL says a black woman. I mean, it's just a woman kills a man. But this is the second time, and they're, second time in a month or so. Helping out, transporting her to a hospital. She was out on bond for trying to kill a cop a week earlier? Why was she out of jail and this is a hate crime? Why was she out of jail if she... Violent repeat offender, released on bond just 2 days earlier, despite being flagged as a danger to the community. All right, let's report this from Libs of TikTok. Just last week, Shanita Bassel was arrested for assaulting a police officer who tried to stop her from tampering with his car. He required medical attention. Judge Luis Engels, who was appointed by a Democrat governor, let her out on a $10,000 bond, and now she's charged with the murder of a fire medic. Keep mentally ill, violent thugs in prison. Yes. That is the perfect case that sums up everything wrong with the Soros-backed district attorneys. I keep harshing Ken's mellow. I'm harshing the vibe, Kenneth. I'm sorry. I'm just reporting the news. I'm not trying to. But violent, crazy people lose free range privileges. That's it. It has to be that way. Luis Angles, Associate Circuit Judge. Good grief. He found her on the side of the road with a bleeding hand and attempted to help her. Doggone it. I hate this story. I'm moving on. All right, let's go back to this one. Ugh. Hey, how do you feel about the Canadian election result? This guy has thoughts. Let me put the countervailing views up on the screen. See, where do you go? cdc.gov, who.int, and cisa.gov/rumor control. Do I have to put these qualifiers up for Canadian elections? Well, listen to this guy. This is shared from Chris McKee.
So something is really fishy with what's going on with this election here in Canada. I was supposed to be working for Elections Canada tonight in Durham region, which is just east of Toronto. And so what my job was is when the votes are...
Goodbye, David. Enjoy picking up the kids. But watch this clip real quick. 40 seconds. It's about
done at each polling station. They get brought to the office. I was there to make sure all the packages were sealed, all the documentation was in order, so then the votes can be tabulated and counted. Not a single vote in Durham region had been counted yet. None of them had been brought to the office yet. Then I go on my phone and I see CTV declaring the Liberals the winners. It's like, how is this even possible? Here we have, one of the biggest areas just east of the GTA, Pickering, Ajax, Whitby, Oshawa, Uxbridge. Not a single vote counted, and then CTV says the Liberals win, and then CBC follows in that. This reeks. How is this even possible? Something's fishy. Something's not right. There's got to be some sort of investigation into this because it's not right.
Robbie Starbuck announces a multi-million-dollar defamation lawsuit against Meta, the owner of Facebook and Instagram. The case is wild and has implications for all of us. On top of falsely calling him a criminal, Meta suggested his kids should be taken from him. Well, anyway, it's a whole long thing. I'll let you dig into that story. Scott Jennings, one of the only people that makes sense on CNN, discussing President Trump and the polls.
Have a tremendous amount of confidence in what's on deck. My understanding is they are on the brink of announcing a bunch of things, both with private companies and also with other countries, that they will then point to and say, see, the strategy is working. You just got to give us a little time.
What might be enough in that area? What would be the type of thing that would satisfy, you think, people?
Well, I think if you started rolling out agreements with our allies, there's like 17 to 20 countries that really matter. If you started rolling out agreements with them and you started also to see more private companies saying, we're going to continue to invest in America, we're investing more in America, jobs going here, investments going there, I think that would give people the sense that, hey, there is a method here. There's a plan in all of this. And that begins...
There always was a method and a plan. It's not just chaos for chaos sake. It's chaos because the norm is not working for Americans. So you got to shake the box and let things resettle.
To then lend itself...
It's like a snow globe. You got to shake it up to see what's underneath.
Up to the idea that there's a trajectory that we're on, that down the line you can see that it's going to be working. So I think if you see some of this movement, some of these announcements, I think that will help with the economic numbers. I don't really think Trump is the kind of person who gets freaked out by the polls, frankly. I think he's quite confident in what he's doing. I don't sense a lot of panic over at the White House, and I don't really think they think the 100-day mark, which is arbitrary, we talk about it, but it's arbitrary to them, is something that they were looking at as a deadline for any of this to be done. They have...
Brianna Morello is another one from her. Alleged would-be Trump assassin Ryan Ruth was speaking with a human trafficker on the What's Up app. Not WhatsApp, What's Up app. About smuggling illegal aliens from Afghanistan. This is the Trump assassin, the attempted Trump assassin with Ukrainian ties. Now he's linked in with Afghanistan. Who is this damn guy? According to the Department of Justice, Ruth was also speaking with the trafficker about his plans to flee the U.S. after his assassination attempt on President Trump. Ruth allegedly attempted to purchase a rocket launcher and a .50 caliber sniper rifle. DOJ released some of these communications between Ruth and the human trafficker. Here's Alex talking about what happened in Canada.
Coming out and attacking Canada and ha ha ha, 51st state, and yeah, all the Canucks have been screwing us, and we'll show them. That is the dumbest political move I think I've ever seen Trump make. That took the leftist globalist party from below 20% support in polls to winning yesterday.
Why?
Because Canadians took it as an attack on their sovereignty.
I don't understand what Trump's strategy was there. I get running Trudeau out, but I don't understand galvanizing Canada against Trump to go against America to vote for the globalist. This must be 7-dimensional chess because I'm not following it.
So Trump, I'd give Trump a 95 right now with the stuff he's doing, but he screwed up big time.
As I've been warning for months, America wants our land, our resources, our water, our country. Never. But these are not.
Imagine letting this globalist, giving him the ability to play good guy. It was a huge mistake, unless I'm missing something.
Not idle threats. President Trump is trying to break us so that America can own us. That will never ever happen. But we also must recognize the reality that our world has fundamentally changed.
Yeah. WEF puppet Mark Carney gets to pose as a nationalist and win the prime ministership of Canada. Carney now declared that he'll break away from the U.S. and sell the nation out to China, according to Alex. All right, what is this? This is Glenn Beck. What is this video? Coronavirus confidential agreement. We think Fauci, and we think, yeah, this happened at the end of Trump to put Biden in. Okay. But let's go back a little further. Glenn.
This is 153 pages of the confidential agreement between Moderna and the U.S. government. And it goes back to 2015.
What? That's Obama.
Jason, what was happening in 2015?
Frankenstein coronavirus.
That's right. The same time Dr. Barrick and Dr. Shi published their paper on the new Frankenstein coronavirus. In fact, let's skip down to page 104. It shows that the NIH and Moderna were collaborating with Dr. Barrick. Wow. His signature is on page 106 of the material transfer agreement. But let's get back up to the top of the specific agreement. The NIH appears to be transferring the mRNA tech to Dr. Barrick. But look what they want to make clear. Quote, mRNA coronavirus vaccine candidates developed and jointly owned by the NIAID and Moderna.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I mean, I've seen
owned, but hold on.
To Dr. Barrick. But look what they want to make clear. Quote, mRNA coronavirus vaccine candidates developed and jointly owned by the NIAID and Moderna. I'm sorry. I mean, I've seen ulterior motives before, but usually you see them coming. Did you know that the government co-owns the vaccine? Oh, by the way, this is not part of the Trump's thing.
Are you following this? For countervailing views on health and elections, go to cdc.gov, who.int, and cisa.gov/rumor control. Whoa.
Did you know that the government co-owns the vaccine? Oh, by the way, this is not part of the Trump's thing. This is not part of that. This is 2015. The same government that is now mandating its use owns the vaccine.
Whoa. We're going to have a lot more to unpack on that one. Here is Michelle Obama saying that President Trump's deportations keep her up at night. Does she know that Barack Obama, her husband, deported 5.3 million people? President Trump has deported a bit over 100,000 so far. I think I played this earlier, but just real quick. Stephen Miller exposing Fox News pollster while on with Fox News.
It is our opinion that Fox News needs to fire its pollster. And I won't surprise you with that. I don't think you're surprised that I'm saying that. But the Fox News pollster has always been wrong about President Trump. They were the ones that said all summer long that Kamala Harris was going to be the 47th president of the United States. So we don't acknowledge any of that polling. It is our opinion.
Bam. Nick Sortor reporting that just minutes after President Trump called Jeff Bezos, Amazon caved and backtracked on their plans to display tariff prices next to products on the website. Trump made very clear to Amazon that if they were going to get further in bed with China, there would be consequences. Sounds like they heard the message loud and clear. All right. Andy No investigating. They're saying a trans activist who is threatening to unalive Congressman Nancy Mace, revealed to be Greenville, South Carolina area man named Samuel Theodore Kane, who goes by the alias of Roxy. Mace, Republican from South Carolina, received numerous violent death threats from the far left after she began publicly criticizing trans ideology. I'm going to A, Representative Nancy Mace with a G, and I'm being 100% dead ass. Okay, smart move. This is a special report. This is from a while ago. It's about Hillary Clinton. Non-disclosure agreements. There's a lot to this. It's a 2-minute video. A $3 million wedding, a $10 million mansion. Is Hillary guilty under the Espionage Act? Transmitting or losing of national defense information. Emails on unsecured personal server in her bathroom closet contained intelligence from the U.S. government's most secretive and highly classified operation called Special Access Programs, or SAPs. Charles McCullough II says the comprehensive review by the intelligence agencies who have final say of classification matters found several dozen emails containing classified information at the confidential, secret, and top secret SAP levels, according to Real Robert here. Let's just play the video.
Again, with Chief Intelligence Correspondent Catherine Herridge back in Washington, and a blockbuster letter spelling out more potential problems for Hillary Clinton. Good evening, Catherine.
Brett, as the FBI investigation expands, confirmation tonight from a senior government watchdog that Mrs. Clinton's email problems are much worse than previously reported.
According to this letter, first obtained by Fox News, Hillary Clinton's emails on her unsecured personal server contained intelligence from the U.S. government's most secretive and highly classified operations called Special Access Programs, or SAPs.
These are the crown jewels of the American intelligence community of the United States government.
The intelligence community's Inspector General, Charles McCullough III, notified congressional oversight committees on January 14th. The letter says a comprehensive review by the intelligence agencies who have final say on classification matters found, quote, several dozen emails containing classified information at the confidential, secret, and top secret / SAP levels. That is even more sensitive than top secret and brings new scrutiny
above top secret. What difference at this point does it make?
To the presidential candidate's handling of government secrets.
If this information is compromised, we're going to suffer very serious national security damage. There's no mistake. You don't accidentally stumble across it and not realize what it is.
Access to these programs is highly restricted and on a need-to-know basis only. The State Department spokesman had not seen the letter, but added,
there are reviews and investigations going on about past email practices here at the department. And
man, John Kirby, I forgot about this guy. Jeez.
And I am simply not at liberty to discuss the content.
The new findings are striking, given Clinton's first public statement about her personal server.
There is no classified material, so I'm certainly well aware of the
10 years ago.
classification requirements.
According to court documents, former CIA Director David Petraeus was prosecuted for sharing special access program intelligence with his biographer Paula Broadwell. Both Petraeus and then Secretary of State Clinton were required to sign non-disclosure agreements promising to protect special access programs with the understanding that a failure to do so has significant legal consequences.
I think this is a real test for the administration as to whether they're going to apply the.
And so we're wondering if is any of this relevant today? It could very well be. The people who have been actively subverting the American interests for decades, a lot of the same players were at play in 2015 as they are right now. So yeah, some of this is definitely going to matter, and understand. In order to understand the future, you got to kind of look at the recent past, and it is definitely possible that this stuff could come right back up with Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, and the rest.
Law in a fair and equal way, and treat Hillary Clinton the same way that David Petraeus was treated.
A new email first obtained by the Daily Caller shows the State Department knew about the personal account as early as August 2011, and suggestions to use a government BlackBerry and a .gov account were rejected by Mrs. Clinton's aide, Huma Abedin. Brett.
Huma Abedin.
Catherine, thank you.
Yeah, there's a name that came back up. Huma Abedin, now with the Soros son. Wow, from a Clinton to a Soros. What you got going on there? All right, just a couple more here. FBI has reassigned agents who were photographed kneeling during BLM George Floyd terrorism riots. I voted for this. Hopefully reassigned to RFK Jr.'s fat camp. Oh, boy. Multiple agents who were photographed kneeling with protesters during a 2020 demonstration following George Floyd's death. Sources say they've been transferred to less desirable roles that are seen as demotions. Disgraced FBI agents who knelt during the BLM rally are reassigned. Just scrolling to see if there's any more to take away here. Any other tidbits? Wokeism on government time is no longer permitted. All right. Well, that's good, right? Oh, Lee Zeldin, this is his last day after 27 years in the United States Army. And what else? Border Patrol, what's trending here? We did already talk about this. So, let's see what else. U.S. Treasury unexpectedly reports a sharp drop in debt borrowing needs. Yeah, no high, no lows, only Doge. Good job. Thank you, Elon. Democrat State Rep Nick Schultz says he blocked a bill that would make it a felony to buy 16, 17-year-olds for sex purposes because the bill needs to make sense and be equitable. How does a law that makes it a felony to buy children for sex not make sense? Anyway, it's 2 minutes of
also trust my experience as well. I, too, as you know, am a former prosecutor. I was part of the La Luz del Mundo prosecution in Los Angeles. So when it comes to protecting children and going after sex offenders and people that are exploiting children, I, too, have that experience. And as much as I do trust my colleague, Assemblymember Krell, I also trust my personal experience and my own subject matter expertise, if you will, on the subject, as well as that of the committee.
Sure. So right now in Sacramento, there is a well-known blade. KCRA did a documentary on it. It's just a few miles away from here. Sheriff Jim Cooper has said that right now, if a John were to go and try to purchase a 16 or 17-year-old on that blade and law enforcement were to intervene, because of a judge's order right now in Sacramento, law enforcement would not be able to put that person in.
That was an interesting side look over here. He said, and looked off to his left. See that? What's he looking at? He says, and looks over to the left.
enforcement were to intervene, because of a judge's order right now in Sacramento, law enforcement would not be able to put that person in jail because it's not the solid felony that law enforcement has been asking it to be. So I just want to make sure, like, you're okay with 16 and 17-year-olds continuing to be purchased on this blade for the next year or until you have to dissect this issue in the fall, and these Johns getting let go and just issued with citations?
Well, I don't agree with the premise of the question, but what I would say is I'm not okay with any child anywhere being exploited, but the solution that we craft, the solution that we pass needs to make sense, it needs to be equitable, it needs to be comprehensive.
I feel like prosecuting makes total sense.
And while I appreciate Assemblymember Krell for bringing the proposal forward, and I know that her heart is on this issue, it's connected in a way that few other legislators can really be equal to or understand, it's also my job to make sure that we're not just passing knee-jerk policy, but we're having good, substantive conversation and landing on a good spot. So to the sheriff, the district attorney...
Isn't arresting these people a good policy decision? Well, how is that a bad policy decision?
And any other stakeholders, I hope that they'll continue to engage not just with Assemblymember Krell, but with all the members of the committee, with myself, with our staff, and our goal is to get a good solution delivered here as quickly as possible.
Yeah, all right. Well, that's that weird story. A whole bunch of accusations made in this post for you to dig through about Barack Obama and his mother and CIA.
Well, I understand
and
that
their ties in Hawaii and Muslim Brotherhood and Egypt's Islamic networks, and Kamala Harris, her mother, a decade in Canada's classified psychological research programs, CIA, Lolo Soetoro, Obama's stepfather, not just a bureaucrat, CIA-affiliated operative, the Dunham family, Obama's grandmother, Madeleine Payne Dunham, reportedly managed covert agency financial operations, her cousin, George H.W. Bush, another CIA insider, Stanley Ann Dunham, Obama's mother, harbored deep resentment toward the U.S. and raised Barack in that mindset. There's a lot to unpack in this post. This is Barron Trump News. And we're just asking, what can we confirm? What can we deny about this post? There's a lot of accusations to unpack here. So if you want to take a look around and see some of these, there's a graphic about U.S. aid down here. And I don't know how true any of this stuff is, but it's interesting. Mike Benz providing analysis of Data Republicans' thread on Global Leadership Coalition, the 30-year-old supergroup made up the biggest USAID-funded NGOs and the spooks and corporations behind them who lobby Congress to give themselves more money. It's a 43-minute video if you want to dig into that topic. Here's a good place to start. Then, of course, this was our show about Reddit bots yesterday. Please take a look. Luke Radowski says globalist hijacked Spanish government celebrated when they took down nuclear power plants in their country. And now they're surprised that they have blackouts. Yeah, fourth-generation power plants are very good, according to a lot of experts on the subject. Very good. Anyway, that is the end of what I had prepared to share with you today. Thank you for joining us on the TNAM AM Show. We'll be back again tomorrow. Thank you all for watching. At the bottom here, these are the places to find the New American Media. Instagram, Facebook, Truth Social, Rumble, YouTube, the New American Media. We're on Telegram and Signal at TNAM and TNAM Chat, on X at American_media_. And our podcast is the Agree to Disagree Show on Spotify and Apple. And if anyone would like to throw something in our tip jar, we are on Patreon at the New American Media, on Venmo at Brian Engelman, on Cash App, $ Brian Engelman, and PayPal at Fuzz Installment. Thank you so much, everybody. Appreciate you watching. We'll be back unpacking the news for you real soon. And maybe I'll do a sports show real soon, too. I could talk all day about all the things because I'm curious to find out what's happening. And I like doing that with you. In your comments and your jokes and your questions. Yes, no longer Biden. Biden, not Biden. Did you say Biden or Biden? Biden or Biden? Biden. All right. Signing out. I appreciate you. I love you. And we'll talk to you again soon. Take care. Bye then.